Okay, hi folks. Here we go again. This time it's going to happen. Dusty and I, my grandson, are going on a stealth campout. Whole lot has happened since my last video. Taken on a new subscriber, outdoor adventure craft, Russell up there in Canada, friends with Wayne up there in Canada from Bushcraft, Cole Craven Bushcraft series. Very happy with both of them. We've been communicating a lot. But this time, it's time for me to get out. Now, I haven't been out since my hikes out at Blue Marsh. So Dusty and I decided an overnighter. It's going to be a stealth camp out. And I decided to come down and get my rucksack ready. So I have to get my bug out bag from the truck. I'm going to get my Blue Marsh bag from the truck. And I'm going to get my rucksack from right here. And empty it and start all over. I swear, everybody that goes camping, I don't care who you are, everybody that goes out in the bush, you probably do this every night before you go. So this is really nothing new, but I gotta do it. Sounds like we're due some heavy thunderstorms outside, so let me go out to the truck and get my stuff first, and then I'll get started on this. Stand by. I'm back at you. Okay, with every trip, you have to start somewhere. I start with my lists. I think everybody should have lists. The mind is a good thing, but you can't remember everything. So I have a couple different lists, as you saw. I got a camping list, I've got my rucksack list, and I got my bug out bag. I like to start fresh. Wow, dark, there we go. I like to start fresh with everything that I think I should have, and then don't take what I don't need. Now, of course, I have quite a few blanks. What I do then is not only list stuff that I want to take, but I list where it's at. So to me, that's an important factor in figuring out what and where you're going. We discussed these already. There's the three. You got your rucksack, your day pack, your everyday carry, and your bug out bag. Bag after bag after bag. And they've all got to be different. You all saw this in two different shows that I had. This stays in the truck at all times. This will get me through 3 days in a minimum 3 days. This will go 3 weeks to 3 months. Got everything in here that I need to survive that long. So, gonna go through my list, gonna go through my rucksack, gonna go through my bug out bag, gonna get everything that I need for our stealth camping trip. Now there is gonna be more that I'm taking that is going to be important to me. First of all, I went up to Dick's Sporting Goods store and I got burlap. Now this is 54 inches high, so it's 4.5 foot high by 12 foot long. When I park my truck out there, this can surround the truck and hide it pretty well. Went up on the campsite, I've got this one, which is a little bit different. As you can see, it's more solid and it's got the outline broken up. But this is also a 3D blind fabric that's harder to see through. And you can see by the man with the gun right there, he's hidden pretty well behind there. This is also 56 inches high and 12 foot long. So this will be a pretty good circle around the camp to hide fire, to hide the tents, to hide us moving around. So these are going with us, which is addition to what's going to come out of my bug out bags. And that lady's voice you just heard in the background is my other half up on the steps putting water away. So let me get started on these things and I'll be right back to you. Let me give you a quick tour of my bug out bag for the truck. We're talking 5Cs, and I actually come out a little bit lucky because in this one right here I've got a lighter and my candling device. Now, because it was in my hot truck, don't know if you can see it on there, but see the wax buildup? Well, it also got my pages. It got them full of wax. Well, I was going to tear them out and throw them away, but you know what? That wax on that paper that is right in the rain is going to make a good fire started. We get down the line, so I've got some cordage, not a lot. First aid kit, it's a small one, just enough to take care of me. Here's my bandana. I've got two types of line, fishing line and bank line. I've got my life straw, but in this case it's called the Frontier emergency filter. Of course, I already showed you my candle and my lighter signaling device. I do have my coffee, cream, and sugar. Gotta have my coffee, cream, and sugar. Everybody knows that. There's my cover. Here's my cup or my container for carrying fluid or water. Lots of extra cordage. There's about 50 foot there. Like I said before, calories. Now, this is freeze dried, and it's vegetable soup. I have a small, and I mean this is a small, it's like 3 foot by 4 foot cover. I have the bivvy that old Russell is going to be giving away as a gift for his 500th subscriber. Here is my made in China, but it's still a ferro rod. I have silverware. I know you don't have to take silverware, you can make your own out there, but I like my silverware. There's my cutting tool, not a big one, but it stays extremely sharp. I have a small, light button batteries. They go out pretty quick, but it'll get me through 3 days. I have my whistle, another signaling device. So everything you see here falls into the 5Cs. Oops, sorry about that. I have my cover. I have my container. I have my cutting tool. I have my cordage, which is up there and over there. And I have my calories bug out bag. And you're supposed to check these every so often. The second half of the table here is what's going to be going with us, but not in my rucksack. What I have down here is a spring pole for fishing, and anybody that would understand what that's all about, that's going to be set up out there overnight to see if we can get anything. There's my Gorilla Tape, and in all these here, wire ties, hand soap sheets like I explained in another video, and a finger saw. Now I am going to be taking another good saw with me, but I want to try something with that saw that I was just shown on YouTube. Instead of using your fingers, making it like a bow drill and not cutting hard with it, just constantly cutting. This is my lounge chair in the woods, if anybody watched that video. This is a hammock, but I use it as a lounge chair on a tripod. Very comfortable. I have another tarp for under our feet, another tarp for overhead in case it decides it wants to rain more. Of course, I am going to take my stove with me. That's already packed in there. And there's the back to the camo that I showed in the beginning. All right, going to get this thing going here and start tearing into my rucksack. All right, I'm back at you. I've got this about 90% empty, and I'm going to give you a real quick tour of what's still in there. So let's do it this way. Oops, sorry about that. Here we go. I'll show you what's still in this thing. In here, I've got my air mattress. It's a Kelty. It's folded. I'm not even sure they make them anymore. I've got my fire steel, my forks and spoons for cooking and for eating. On this side are all the tent poles. Now these are special made tent poles, so they fit inside this rucksack. The other tent poles that came with this set were way up here, sticking out of the rucksack and getting caught on trees, getting caught on vines, and actually hurting my back by pulling me. On this side I've got my breakdown fishing rod and the reel with the handle off so it doesn't break. I've got the handle. That goes in one of the front pockets. And I've taken out my tent from inside, and I'm going to put the tent on the bottom where the sleeping bag was, and my sleeping bag is going to go inside. Stand by, let me get it. Real quick. As you can see, the sleeping bag does fit down inside where the tent was, and the tent's a little bit wider, so it's going to fit underneath on the straps a lot better. Besides, this is not waterproof as it is. The tent with the floor wrapping itself internally, this becomes pretty much waterproof, that I can set up out in the woods and stay dry, keep my sleeping bag dry, keep my air mattress dry. It'll all be inside underneath. Okay, time to pack some more. There's 3 items I consider pretty important for going out into the woods. One is an overhead tarp to put up in the trees where you can stand under. Most everybody does them. I also have this in case it's warm enough that I can use this as a sleeping unit instead of a chair. So with these 2 items, I've got a sleep set right there. With the sleeping bag, it still works out good. These go in. Another item to me, be the first time I'm using it. I've never used this. It's a travel liner. It is a sleeping bag liner. If it does happen to drop temperature, and we're going to be near a pretty big lake, so very possibly it will get below 60, I'll be able to slip this over top of the sleeping bag that you just saw me put in to see if I'm going to stay a little warmer. Again, this is going to be an experiment. This will be new to me. Some of the big items, of course, you know, all know I'm going to be using the pocket rocket. That'll be in an outside pocket. My cook here, I've got my Espit stove, I got a pot, I've got 2 cups in here that I can boil water with. I also have a lot of lint to start a fire, all wrapped into this one little item right here. Now you all know I have a large cutting tool on here. It's my buck knife. My larger buck knife stays on my day pack for when I go out to Blue Marsh to help out there. On the outside, I've got my bandana. I don't know if you got it turned right. There we go. I've got my bandana, and I've got some Altoid mints. Easy to reach. I like to have all my paper supplies in one area. So we're talking paper towels, we're talking a washcloth, and yeah, it's got a Superman on it. Tissue on the go, gotta have the toilet paper. Coleman travel towels. There were 10 in here. In fact, there still are 10. This is a brand new one. And these spread out to about 12 by 12, which is a very handy thing for cleaning, for washing off. And don't forget, if you happen to be near poison ivy, spray it, wash it real good with soap, and rub it off. All my paper products usually go at one area. Along with the paper products, a very important item, you don't want to be missing it. Little folding shovel. You know what you got to do with these. You got to dig that all important 12 by 12 by 12 so you can bury it. Along with the tent, you got a windy night, I got my tent stakes right there. Now that goes down in the bottom because it's not something I usually pull out. First aid kit. There's my cloth needles. Now these are on the thin side, but if I'm going to sew my skin together, I don't want a horse needle. I want something as thin as I can get. I like to have that little burst of energy when you're out there working. It's just something nice to have. As a last item, nighttime. Don't know how many of you guys have been in your tent already and your nose starts plugging up from all the moisture. Well, I find this pretty helpful being out in the woods. That's really the only thing it does. It's mostly saline, but it does keep you open and breathing at night. All right, I have the old problem of keeping the choppers in place. So I guess you can say health and hygiene. It's all right here in the middle. I do have the life straw. It's a larger item. I do have the container for it so I can carry extra water. A little bit more in the way of paper product, but I want these handy, good old tissues. The second half of my fishing rod, you saw the first half in the big part. The handle of this will go in the next container. Stand by, I gotta go get something. As I said on the other table, I do have a handsaw. It goes out, it's a real nice one. It's a Coolins. I'm not very happy with the way it bends, but if you cut properly and you don't rush, these are good. I preached on one of my other ones when I was talking to Really Big Monkey about having soap out in the woods. To me, hand soap is very important. Cleanliness gets rid of that funk under the arms, keeps your feet smelling better and taking care of them, gets rid of a lot of the mold and the mildew that grows down there. So to me, having soap out there is very, very important. I usually always carry soap. As I said on one of my previous films, I do carry. There's my extra ammo. And inside here is that finger saw. Now, this is the one I'm going to try special out in the woods, like a bow saw. And I'm not going to force it like I thought I had to before with my fingers. It binds real bad in the wood. I'm just going to lightly saw back and forth and see what happens, and I'll film it for you. You'll notice I have a lot of stuff in my Altoids tins. I must have 100 of these boxes. Yeah, I do use Altoids every night. In this case here, I've got lures in the top one, and the rest of my fishing supplies. And that's hooks, sinkers, floats, extra line. There's a few lures in there too. But with me taking the fishing gear with me and me taking the spring fishing rods, the traps, I need this stuff to fish with. There's a saying up on the Appalachian Trail about vitamin I. Well, there's my vitamin I. I've got 2 Motrin in there, and I've got some body aspirin in there. This, for 2 days, is plenty. I am a firm believer in bug spray, and as you can see, I've got a little bit of Gorilla Tape on there. I just covered the name. But this is lemon eucalyptus. Now, because I'm using cameras, I've heard many times that using DEET will actually melt the plastic on the camera. So I switched to this. Now this eucalyptus, I'm telling you guys, you need to at least try it in the woods. This eucalyptus is actually like a mint that causes your skin to be cool while hiking or working. It gives you that impression of a cooling type mist on you at all times. Plus it smells good, and it does keep away everything that it says it does. It repels the mosquitoes, and I have yet to have a tick on me. I like this stuff. Oops. I told you about my fishing rod handle. Of course, I put stuff in the wrong place. Okay, pencils and pens. The books, the papers won't do you any good if you don't have something to write with. Now here's something that I don't know if you guys take with you or not. Even on a warm night, when you're laying on the ground, it gets a little cool. Having one of these for a couple hours, this says it's up to 10 hours of heat. Well, you don't need that much, you know that. But they're so light to carry, and you don't have to keep a fire going. Just put one of these in your sleeping bag. I have a poncho. Now, it's rare when I get this out. You've seen me on my other ones. We had them out when it poured. We called ourselves the Rangers. But it also works to cover your gear up when it is raining. And of course, in this one here, I've got my Write in the Rain tablet. One last item that I carry. 2 is 1, 1 is none. In this case, I've got probably 4 is 1, 1 is none. Come on. Everybody should remember what's in here. It's all my food for 2 days, 2 solid days. Breakfast, lunch, and supper, and coffee. That's my rucksack. Oh my God, I forgot something. Those of you watched my tree stove made better. There it is. It's going. It's going to get packed in the middle container. I forgot to put it in. It was out there in the end. So my bug out bag, that'll be put back together again, and that is down there. So I'll be putting that together, putting it back out in the truck. There's my canvas. There's an extra can of fuel and my fishing spring traps. So I'll wrap this thing up saying I'd like to get a new phrase, but I think Everybody's gotten used to Mayan now. So, stay strong, patient, and trust your journey. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Russell. Take care, guys. Talk to you later.